Hi everyone, this is Niki Rowland for Hip Kit Club, and today I'm making a layout based on the weekly challenge. So it's Sketch Friday with a difference, so we now have lots of different types of challenges, and one of them is to be inspired by our mood board, which is what I'm doing today. So I had the February kits to play with, the main kit, the embellishment kit, the pocket life kit and the colour kit, and I am being inspired by the mood board. So I was also inspired by the mood board last week. So this is my second mood board layout based on the March mood board, which is super bright and pretty and lovely. So this time, in order to be different from last week I was inspired by the geometric patterns and the pom-poms and the tassels, and this week I'm being inspired by the flowers. So there's that fabulous floral wallpaper in the background on the bottom right image, and there's other flowers in the top left as well. So I'm using those, and I am fussy cutting out a whole sheet, well maybe not quite the whole thing, of this Paige Evans Bloom Street paper, and also that paper you can see in the background there with all the chevrons or arrows on it, however you want to describe those. And I'm also being inspired by the rainbow colour palette. So the top right image is like a building that has all these rainbow colours, so I'm being inspired by that too. I am spending some time cutting out all of these flowers on the Bloom Street paper. This sheet's obviously completely perfect for fussy cutting. There's some big blooms, some little ones, some leaves, some different shaped flowers, so lots of great things for fussy cutting there. And then we have this sheet of multicoloured arrows or chevrons, and they're all random all over the page. So what I'm planning to do is cut them out and then arrange them in kind of rainbow order. So arrange them colour by colour and then embellish over the top with the fussy cut flowers. So I'm planning at this point to use a pink background. That's a sheet of pink cardstock from the cardstock kit this month. That I was thinking at this point, I'll try, but it might change. I might go to white. But actually, I do end up just doing the pink background. I love it, actually. I'm really happy that I persevered and did it in pink. So you can see that I've cut out all my chevrons there and I've arranged them onto the background. I've now stuck them all in place, and I've also stitched through all the lines with white thread on my sewing machine. So I literally just ran a straight stitch all the way through every single one of those chevrons. So I've got a bit of a higgledy-piggledy background, so they're not all the same length, they're not all lined up perfectly, but they're in rainbow order. They go from light to dark on the left to right, and they also go from light to dark top to bottom. So I aimed for the lighter colour hues of each colour to be at the top and go down to be darker. So that's kind of how I was inspired by that mood board, and now I am going to embellish with the fussy cut flowers and various other things that were in the February kits, and I'm going to do that in a colour on colour fashion, of course, because this layout totally lends itself to doing that. So yes, I'm starting off with the larger blooms that I've cut from the Bloom Street paper, and I'm just kind of arranging those around my photo. So I've got my photo over on the left hand side, and I've just starting off by creating a bit of a big main cluster around the photo. So I've tucked under some of the bigger flowers, and I've got some stuck on top as well. Actually, I don't think anything's stuck at this point, but now I'm just kind of going through with all of my flowers and placing them on the right colours. So I love these little purple ones and blue ones. So there was some tiny blue flowers and tiny purple flowers. So I cut all of those out, not all of them, but 5 of each. And they are super cute and great for layering. And then on the green section, well, I've got no green flowers on the Bloom Street paper. So I was stuck with leaves, not flowers. I was really looking. I did look hard for a green flower, but no, there wasn't one, which is understandable because you don't really get green flowers. You get green leaves. So I'm just kind of going through that sticker book to see what else I might be able to use. I'm really happy with how the layout's come together. It's come together so quickly as well, that this is a really great way for me to create like on a background like this and do colour on colour, because the choices are made for you, aren't they? Because it's based on what's in the right colour. So, as well as the fussy cut pieces from the Bloom Street paper, I'm also going through the floral ephemera that was in the kit, and I'm trying to work out if I can use any of the pieces from there. Now, the problem with this is that a lot of them are multicolored, and that won't work with my color on color theme. So I had to be careful about the bits that I picked out, and just try to pick out the single color pieces. There is one really beautiful blue flower that has green on it too, which I thought I might be able to sneak in across the green and the blue section, but in the end I decided not to. So going back to the mood board for a moment, there's this geometric pattern, and I wanted to bring in some of that. I used some of this paper on last week's layout, but I just had a small amount of that sheet left, so I thought I would see if I could bring in some of that paper, and I decided to just put a small or narrow torn strip at the top of the layout there, and I just tore it across, and roughed up the edges a little bit, and stuck it across the top. And I really like how it kind of grounds the image, even though it doesn't ground it because it's not at the bottom, but you know what I mean. It gives it a really good crisp top edge, rather than just the pink background. It has this lovely edge at the top as well, and it kind of works with my colorways because I have yellow on the left, red in the middle, moving over towards the blues, although there's no green in that top strip. But yeah, it mimics the colors in my layout, so it worked well. If it had not been if it had not worked like that, then I wouldn't have done it. Okay, so I'm just still fiddling around with all of my flowers. I'm getting them stuck in place. I'm raising some on foam pads. I'm sticking some flat. Some of them I've already tucked behind my photo. I'm not even going to move. So I'm just going to stick some foam pads behind them and hope that they stay in place nicely. Then I'm just going through and adding all the bits that are not stuck down. So some some are sticking flat, some are going to be raised on foam pads, and I wanted to kind of spread out my flowers over my coloured strips or strips of chevrons, and I've just done that, kind of like spreading them out really to help with that. Because I didn't want a huge cluster all in one small area, I wanted to spread them over the strips, so that's what I'm doing. I'm still just sticking all these bits and pieces down, getting them all stuck in place. I keep looking to see if there's anything else that I should be adding, but at this time I literally am just getting everything stuck. I love these little vine leaves that were on the Bloom Street paper. I fussy cut those out, even though they were a bit tricky to cut, but I've managed it just about, and I love them dangling down off the bottom of the strips. They kind of remind me of ivy, even though they're not ivy shaped, but the way that they are kind of vine like. So over to the green section now. I had to use leaves because there's no green flowers, so I've just used quite a few, and these are quite big leaves actually, but then I didn't have like a central point to cover up where the stems met each other, so I pulled out a green piece of leaf ephemera from the Bloom Street floral ephemera, and that worked really well to go over into the middle, and I tucked the stem of that underneath one of the chevrons, so it worked well. And then I added two really dark green leaves to the darkest green chevron over on the right hand side. They're again from the floral ephemera. I found this little, I didn't have any flowers on the light purple section, or it's a little bit blue at the bottom. So I just went through and found a couple of bits, or one piece actually, one leaf to go onto there. I'm just adding in my title now. So I looked at some of the titles in the kit and couldn't really make any work with this layout, so I went for a sticker from the Bloom Street sticker sheet that says "You are beautiful," and the colour is ombre and worked perfectly because it was yellow on the left and pink on the right, so I stuck that over the correct section of my layout, so that worked really well. So coming in now with some smaller items. So these puffy stickers are perfect because they're small. I can't fit many big embellishments on this layout now. It's already pretty busy. Yeah, I'm just trying to find some small pieces that will work, I say, in the colour on colour way. So I just stuck a little phrase on that says "Smile often." I've got some puffy stickers that say "Oh happy day." I've put the green camera over on the right hand side in the green section. I've nestled it in there with the leaves. Just adding some hearts from the Paige Evans Bloom Street sticker book. It's a sheet of four sheets, I think, of stickers, and they're really cute little bits and pieces. So I've just used all the hearts from in there and stuck those on the correct sections of the layout as well. So they're really tiny and perfect little extra embellishments. They're kind of shiny as well, these hearts. They kind of have like almost a pearlescent finish, maybe not quite pearlescent. Some are kind of mirrored and some are more flat, but yeah, they definitely have a shiny effect, so that gives another little extra added texture to this layout. Okay, so I'm nearly done. I just wanted to add some of the mixed media from the colour kit this month. So I've used the Lindy's magical shaker. I think it's called Raspberry Lemonade. What a great name for a magical, it's not a shaker, a magical set or a magical powder. So I've just added some splatters of that along the pink section. And then my purple section that was a bit neglected, light purple, has got this fabulous Nouveau crystal drops on there. So I've added some of those at the top above the photo and then at the bottom as well. And then I'm just handwriting carefully, because I've already added Nouveau, very, very carefully writing in my journaling and making sure that I don't smudge the Nouveau crystal drops, because they're really easy to smudge, so because they take a while to dry, you see. So at this point I realized that I haven't added my golden twiddles, which I had planned to add, and they're perfect to go under floral embellishments. So I had to try and add these without knocking those Nouveau drops, and there was a couple of occasions where I did actually catch them slightly, but I did manage to remove the bit of thread from the crystal drop that was already on the layout, and managed to save them. So they're still circular shaped, albeit slightly wonky, but not too bad. Over on the left, under the yellow section, that is no problem adding the thread, because there's no Nouveau drops there. Just had to be careful of my hands over on the right side too. So yeah, I'm pretty much done now. I hope you've enjoyed this layout. I really enjoyed making it. It came together so well and so nicely. I was so happy with it, especially on the pink background, which is something that I don't normally do. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today. That was Niki Rowland for Hip Kit Club, and I was inspired by the mood board. Make sure you join in with this week's challenge. So if you are a Hip Kit Club subscriber, you get lots of perks. So head over to the Hip Kit Club website to check those out and grab yourself a subscription. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. It was Niki Rowland for Hip Kit Club.